Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived at the White House Monday for talks with President Donald Trump, becoming the first foreign leader to visit Trump since he unleashed tariffs on countries around the world. According to Assosicted Press, whether Netanyahu's visit succeeds in bringing down or eliminating Israel's tariffs remains to be seen, but how it plays out could set the stage for how other world leaders try to address the new tariffs. Netanyahu's office has put the focus of his hastily organized Washington visit on the tariffs, while stressing that the two leaders will discuss major geopolitical issues including the war in Gaza, tensions with Iran, Israel-Turkey ties, and the International Criminal Court, which issued an arrest warrant against the Israeli leader last year. Trump in February signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the ICC over its investigations of Israel. The Prime Minister soon after arriving in Washington on Sunday evening met with senior Trump administration officials, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, to discuss the tariffs. Trump and Netanyahu are also likely to discuss Israel's hoped-for annexation of parts of the occupied West Bank, which the Palestinians want as the heart of their future independent state.
Mr. President, are you open to pausing tariffs?
Have you been watching the markets today?
Mr. President, will you discuss tariffs on Israel? Mr. President, have you seen the markets today?
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Monday described sweeping new, global tariffs as challenging times, vowing to back companies to the hills. There's no doubt the challenge, but this is a moment for cool heads. Nobody wins from a trade war. You know that. But it's also a moment for urgency, Starmer said, speaking from a Jaguar Land Rover plant in the West Midlands. According to Assosicted Press, Starmer said the British government was going to address challenges car manufacturers will face following the Trump administration hitting the country with a 10% base levy on exports to the US. This is a changing and completely new world, an era where old assumptions, which we've long taken for granted, simply don't apply any longer, Starmer said. He added, however, that Britain would keep pragmatic and calm, and called the US our closest ally. Trump's tariff blitz fulfilled a key campaign promise as he acted without Congress to redraw the rules of the international trading system. The higher rates are set to be collected beginning Wednesday, ushering in a new era of economic uncertainty with no clear end in sight.
My message to you, Rachel, and my message to you today is simple. These are challenging times, but we have chosen to come here because we are going to back you to the hilt. And I think it's really significant that after the announcement on Wednesday, we had Adrian with us at 7 o'clock the next morning, and here we are Monday with you. Please read into that a statement of intent, because it is a statement of intent about how important this is for you, for us, and for the country. As Rachel has said, there's no doubt the challenge, but this is a moment for cool heads. Nobody wins from a trade war. You know that. But it's also a moment for urgency, because we've got to rise together as a nation to the great challenge of our age, and it is the great challenge. But this moment has also made something very clear, that this is not a passing phase. And just as we've seen with our national security and defence, particularly over recent months in relation to the war in Ukraine, now with our commerce and trade, this is a changing and completely new world, an era where old assumptions, which we've long taken for granted, simply don't apply any longer. Yet watching this rising tide of insecurity threaten to sweep away the things that we cherish in our communities. Trust me, I know people will be feeling like that right now. But to those people I say, we have your back. This government will not just sit back and hope. And let me be really clear at a moment like this. Our future is in our hands. And so, of course, we will keep calm and fight for the best deal with the US. And we've been discussing that intensely over the last few days. But we are also going to work with our key partners to reduce barriers to trade across the globe, to accelerate trade deals with the rest of the world, and champion the cause of free and open trade right across the globe. And look, when it comes to the US, I will only strike a deal if it's in our national interest, if it's the right thing to do for our security, if it protects the pounds in the pocket that working people across the country work so hard to earn for their family. That is my priority. That is always my priority. Strength abroad, security and... Well, Robert, I've been clear throughout and in all my discussions that nobody welcomes tariffs. That has been my consistent position because I think directly or indirectly they damage all of us. And that is why we're working so hard here in the UK and the measures we're taking in our economy, such as those announced today, to turbocharge the resilience of our economy and to step into that space, and why I've spent a lot of the last few days talking to international leaders about how we lower trade barriers and trade more openly as a nation. That does not detract from the fact that the US is a very close partner of the United Kingdom. On trade and the economy, of course, look at the product coming out of here going very much to North America. It's not in our interest to simply rip up that relationship any more than it is on defence and security and on intelligence sharing, where we 24/7 are operating with the US as our closest ally. So yes, we have to keep pragmatic and calm in the steps that we take, but we also need to keep a sense of perspective and context. The relationship between us and the US is a long-standing relationship that has helped to keep the peace for 80 years, and it is wrong to simply walk away from that relationship, in my view. It's a special relationship, close relationship. We now have to step up to the challenges that tariffs undoubtedly put on the table